So this knife is a little bit underrated in my opinion. This one's been out a while, and while I know some people have noticed it and everything, and it's had a little bit of popularity, I think maybe sometimes it gets a bit overshadowed by, some of Kansept's other designs, the Fenrir, Main Street, stuff like that. So this is the Orion designed by JB Stout, and a lot of why I think this is so interesting has to do with the price and the detail of what you get for it. It's about $189, but on Kansept's site, they usually offer 10% off for new buyers, so you can get this down to the 160 something range. Look at the micro milling on that blade. S35 VN steel, titanium body, and it's got JB Stout's style. So, he does like scales like this that have some milling throughout, flat scales, but then heavily sculpts the edges, so it's pretty comfortable in the hand. Titanium frame lock does not have a reversible clip, unfortunately, but I can still use it with my left hand. It's not too bad. Clip point design with a little bit of a harpoon going on there. Pretty comfortable, actually. I like this. I'm kind of hit and miss when it comes to clip points, but I really like this shape. So now, size comparisons. I think it's probably going to be, somewhere around PM3 or so. Maybe a little bit longer than that. I would call it sort of a mid-size EDC knife. Here's the Bel Air XL right next to it, and that's a little bit longer. And there's a PM2, which is going to be quite a bit longer. Blade length, a little bit over 3 inches, about 3.1 inches, I would say, 3 1/8. Overall length here, we're looking at, 7 1/8 or so. The weight on this bad boy, about 3.9 ounces, not bad. Blade stock thickness, about 138 thousandths or so. So, how's the action? This is a back flipper only, but they do have a version of this that has a thumb disc. If I had to do it again, I'd probably get that one where you have a back flipper and the little disc there. Flips out really nicely though. It's got good action. It's not completely drop shut, but it's about how I would like it. I'm not a fan of just straight up guillotines usually. Now the pivot and body screws right there are a T8. Then you got your clip screws, which are T6. You're never really going to be taking those off. And then that lock bar tab looks to be a T6 as well. You got bronze screws, sort of a bronze colored, champagne colored pocket clip, and then a natural brush titanium scale. Here's the show side here, and it's a little bit of a fingerprint magnet, but not bad. And then you can see here, you got this milled out pattern going on with anodization. You can get this with different colors for that anodizing. I've also seen other body colors as well, if you want one that's just all, monochrome or something like that. There's quite a few options for this. Back spacer right there. And I like how much they took off the edges here. It makes it really comfortable in the hand. Interesting flipper. You got some jimping right there, and then it wraps around. Kind of a light switch design. Push button doesn't really feel like that's the way to do it. You want to pull back on it with your fingertip. Now, this blade can be a little bit, polarizing, but I like it. I mean, it just looks cool. You don't see stuff like this on a production knife that's $180 very often. This is something you see on more high-end knives. Now, could it take a little bit more to clean? Probably. I tend to use wipes, alcohol wipes. My wife's a nurse, and she's always got alcohol wipes in her pockets and stuff, so I'll use those for blades a lot of time, and it would be just fine. I have some other knives that have some milling on the blade. Those usually work out just fine, especially for gunk, tape, things like that. It's not the thinnest behind the edge here, but I think it'd be totally fine for EDC, and it's definitely a slicey blade shape as well. Good geometry on this. You got the fuller right there. You can see there's just no way to reverse flick it or to get your thumb there. And like I said, they do have one that has a disc here, and it basically flushes out with the top of the blade. And then you could use it for, thumb or reverse flicking. Still plenty slicey, even though it's a little thick behind the edge. I think it's fine. Definitely more of an EDC knife. Now, would I use this to cut up cardboard all day? Probably not. But, for some pocket jewelry and something that you use for, day-to-day, everyday carry tasks, be just fine. In the hand, you can definitely get a comfortable 4 fingers on it, and you can choke up right there because you got the poon right there, and it's actually pretty damn comfortable. Here it is, righty. Thumb feels like it just wants to be right there. You got that guard right here from the flipper. Lockup's pretty good. Doesn't have an early lockup or anything to me. I am totally fine with that. I can easily unlock with my left hand. And let's see, can I do it with my right hand? Yeah, I can do it. It's a little clumsy. I got to do one clean one. Nice flick. Unlock. Oh, not bad. All right, we'll call that good. So now, I think some people will be like, oh, this has S35VN. Why? I want M390. I would honestly rather have S35VN on a knife than M390. I just like to sharpen it more. I've learned to freehand sharpen more over the last year, and I still struggle with M390 sometimes. It's not my favorite to sharpen. S35VN, I usually have a totally fine time. I can get it super duper sharp, and I get more than enough edge retention for what I'm looking for. EDC tasks, things like that. Pretty corrosion resistant as well. About a medium toughness or so, but for a knife like this, totally fine steel in my opinion. I just think S35VN was like the hot stuff for so long that now, you know, some people just look down on it, but it's still a great steel. One of my most expensive knives is an S35VN, my Sebenza, and I love it. Now, how's that clip? Not too bad, actually. It has enough springiness. It's not super duper stiff to where it's one of those that's going to be hard to get in your pocket. And your fabric's going to come up to right around there, which isn't bad at all. I really like the shape of this handle, though, and I like how much they took off the edges. While it's not contoured, it makes it very comfortable in the hand. You know, for something this detailed, you're not going to find many Chinese manufacturers that have it for this price, right? I mean, a Wii knife like this would probably be $250 or $300. Maybe they'd have a little bit pricier steel or something, you know, M390, but, you know, for this price, where you can get this for $189, they also have a Damascus version that's $169, and then you can usually get 10% off on their site, and you'd save like 18 bucks. It's really not bad at all. There's not a lot out there that's going to have this much detail where you have a really cool micro milled blade and you got a lot of milling throughout the scales with some two-tone colorways. You just wouldn't find something this fancy looking for this price. Usually it's going to be more plain tie scales, you know, stuff like that, which is totally fine. I like a lot of stuff like that too. But when it comes to the detail work, we see companies like We do stuff like this a lot. Obviously different designs, but just a little more detail, and they tend to charge a lot more than this. Obviously, not really a lefty knife. You could use it left-handed just fine, but you'd have to have it, you know, either on your left side with the blade going this way, which isn't always what people want, or you could put it in your right hand pocket and pull it out. Still definitely usable lefty, but obviously I wish that it had a reversible clip option. But I get it. If you look at photos of like JB Stout's knives, you'll see that they look really cool. He does a lot of the same like milling type of stuff on the scales, which is really neat. And if it was me, I'd probably rather have a different colored pocket clip, but it goes with this better than I expected it to, especially when you have the screws that color. So it actually all kind of meshes decently together in my opinion. A little bit of a fingerprint magnet on those scales, but that's to be expected. But all in all, for the price, I don't think you're going to get much with this much detail for this price. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong though, and let me know what you think if you do own one of these. I will put a link in the description for where you can get it. And if you liked this video, check out one of my others. That about wraps it up. Until next time, thanks for watching.